And we are going live. Okay, we're live.
Cool.
All right. Hello, everyone that has been waiting for the stream to start, and everyone just tuning in to the stream because they got that notification. Welcome aboard, everybody watching. I'm Detective Lewis, and this afternoon we will be interviewing a Alaskan Permanent Fund resident. This guy right here, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Jeff Pfeiffer. I live in
We
Alaska.
are going live.
Been a supporter of Andrew Yang since like late July, early August or something like that. And I've actually been receiving the permanent fund dividend check for over a decade now. And
Wow.
my son, who is 6, has been getting it for 6 years. So, and you get the permanent fund dividend check once a year, like in the fall. And little kids get it too.
Yeah, if people didn't know, people under 18 actually do get the permanent fund check every single year. Does it start like the year they're born? Or is there a minimum age? I was wondering.
So it just depends on if you have to be born at a certain time to get it that first year. So you might have to go around the whole calendar before you get it. And I can't think of like when that lands, but it has something to do with born into the new year. So like
Right. So if you have a child and they're born in September, and let's say the check is every October, you said, would they get it that October?
You got to be, I think you got to be in the state for 1 year.
Oh, okay. So after their first birthday.
And that's citizens too. So when I moved to Alaska, I didn't know I was going to actually be staying here for over a decade. I knew I was going to be around. So
right.
I knew about the Alaska Permanent Fund dividend check. And so I went and got a driver's license when I landed in Anchorage. I had a couple days in Anchorage before I was going to end up where I was going in Alaska. And so, you got to live in Alaska for 1 year. And the other rule is, you have to apply for it. There's a cutoff date. You got to get it in by like sometime in the spring.
Right.
And then if you leave the state consecutively over 90 days, you're not eligible for the permanent dividend check.
Right. And it's a 90-day hard cutoff. If you're not in the state for 90 days in a row, then you're saying that you lose privileges forever, or just for the upcoming October?
Just for that year. Like sometimes you go on like a really awesome trip, or you have to go out of town to deal with family or whatever, like you wouldn't get it that year, but you'd get it the next year. And it stacks on everything. Like you get it. Meaning like it's not like the freedom it's not like you get the freedom dividend regardless. Freedom dividend, the PFD, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but I forgot what I was saying, but
you said it stacks with Medicare, Medicaid.
Oh yeah, you get it. And you get it. The only other reason you wouldn't get it is if you screwed up and didn't apply before the deadline.
Right.
And so you just have to apply, and it's pretty easy to do. When you apply, they're very efficient about processing the application. There's been times like this year I put it in there, and there was I applied, and there was some sort of discrepancy with something, and it was easy. They called me, and they said, well, you didn't do this. And I was like, oh yeah, you can definitely check that. And she corrected it, and I got my check. And so they're very efficient. Just like Andrew Yang says, the government is very efficient at mailing out those checks.
Yeah, and if they can already do it yearly to the entirety of Alaska, then I don't see why they wouldn't be able to upscale it, especially with how efficient it is. And that's just like the state of Alaska. Imagine.
Yeah.
That's at the state level. Imagine that kind of efficiency like when the whole country is a part of it someday, hopefully.
Yeah.
So we do have three people so far that have chatted. Uh, Hello, Andres. Hello, DVIJ. Hey, David. DVIJ asks, how much does a person get?
This year, the total amount was $1,606, and it's um, pegged to the price of oil. And there's also like it also depends on how much it varies. Um, Years ago, one time it was like $3,000. One time it was like somewhere around 2,000. But right now it's like 1,600.
Right.
Um,
And so you're saying like this is really dependent on oil prices. You're saying like the people can't
yeah.
really do anything to affect the like what their next year's fund is going to be.
Well, part of the story is the state of Alaska um, is broke, and so they had to start borrowing money from the pool of money that exists. So basically, this bunch of money goes into this fund, and then it's managed, and then from that management of the funds and whatever kind of stock market or whatever,
Right.
that's how we get a dividend from that fund, just like if you had some other kind of fund. But then so in the beginning you weren't supposed to be able to take anything out of it, but then a lot of things happened. The state started running out of money, and so they had to kind of pull from the freedom dividend, and so that has made it come out less. And a lot of people are not happy with that, but we need the state for some things like preschool, like funding for the arts, public radio, stuff like that.
Wow. So you're saying they wanted to take funds out of that?
So Dunleavy, it's a whole thing. You should probably just Google it. I'm not an expert on it, but so Dunleavy became the governor, and so his campaign promise was we're going to restore the full permanent fund dividend, and we're going to issue a back pay after I'm elected. So this fall, everybody in the state of Alaska was promised by Dunleavy to get this check for like $6,000,
which is a huge increase from your current 1 to 2K, right?
So the way it was set up, they weren't supposed to take money from this fund, right? That is used to create this money to give to us, but then they did. So Dunleavy was like, we're going to get the full freedom, our full PFD check reinstated, and we're going to do this by cuts. So a lot of Republicans around here, they don't like the government. They don't like government funding or anything like that. They'd rather just do it on their own,
right?
Even though we're a very poor state and so many people rely on Medicare and all kinds of stuff. It's a very poor state. So anyways, he went through all these cuts, and it was looking really bad, like elder care, preschool, public radio, arts,
Wow.
Medicare. And so there was all these cuts, and Alaskans were freaking out, especially like Democrats like myself. Everybody thinks that the dividend should be set aside just for us. But like if the state's broke, there's nothing we can do.
I get that. Yeah.
So anyway, he tried to do all these cuts, and then people weren't having it. And it turned out the reality was like, this is ridiculous. We can't cut everything because, we're not going to be able to, you need essential stuff. And so then those cuts got canceled, but we still got some cuts. One of the cuts we got was like no more dentist for Medicare. It's like if you don't got any money and you need to get your teeth fixed, you got to pay for that on your own. So let's remember, this has nothing to do with UBI. This issue has to do with mismanagement on the state level. It has nothing to do with the concept. It's not like, oh, well, this concept is flawed because of this. It's like, no, it's just like,
right. So
like, don't be afraid. Like, so we're going to try to get the freedom dividend, right? We're going to get Andrew Yang's going to get elected president. That's what we want. And then we're going to get that freedom dividend. And so we get it. And then later on down the road, there's mismanagement on the national level, and we can't get a full freedom dividend. I call that a good problem because we've already got it. You see what I'm saying? So,
exactly.
it's still working. We're still getting it, and I think as time goes on, we're going to get it sorted out. Um,
Hopefully. So, of course, unfortunately, like the the issue where people in Alaska lost their dental coverage, that
yeah,
wasn't because of the Freedom Fund or the Permanent Fund
permanent.
in Alaska. It wasn't because of that. Like the system in itself wasn't flawed. It was just the people that were managing it really messed up.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. That yeah,
Okay.
that's the deal.
So that makes sense. And we do have a question here
Sure.
from Alizer Pendleton, who asks, probably not specific to Alaskan dividends, but I'm curious how effective is Yang's campaigning in Alaska from his point of view. I'm assuming he asks your point of view. Like I guess let's turn it into like how has Yang's recent campaigning just overall since he started running, how has that affected the people you see around in Alaska?
Um, so I live in a pretty small town, so I don't really talk about it that much. So everybody knows I'm going to Yang Week.
Right.
So
Oh, you
so
are going to Yang Week.
hit up my Twitter, my GoFundMe is up there. Turns out I'm going to have to rent a car. So whatever, I'm going to
That's
have
crazy.
it. And Detective Lewis is going too.
I am
Hit
also going to Yang Week.
fund him too. So everybody knows I'm going to Yang Week, and so I'm like, well, what's that about? And I'm like, I tell them, and most people seem psyched about it. I don't know. And as far as the
That's good.
campaigning here, like we've got a small group in Anchorage, and that's a long ways away from me. I've been down there to that group once, and I'm in contact with those people. In fact, there is one other Alaskan that I know that is coming down for Yang Week, and so
Really?
yeah,
Do they
another
live near
person.
you, or
Uh,
did you meet him on Twitter?
no, I met him in real life. I went down to Anchorage for like a Yang meetup,
Wow. Yang
and
meetups in
and then,
Alaska. Wow.
yeah, so I decided I was going to go. I just went for it and bought the plane ticket,
There you go.
and then I was on the text group with all these people, and I just like, who wants to come to Yang with me and this one dude. I don't know him. He seems nice, but we're actually on the same flight.
All
Um,
right. There you go.
Found on the ticket. So yeah, I mean, I think Alaska would vote for Yang. If they found out, like about, we already know that we already have a dividend. Like, wouldn't you like another one? And if you an Alaskan and you enjoy your permanent fund dividend oil check, why not get one that's based on data?
Exactly.
Because we're going to have to, due to climate change and all this, we're going to have to quit using fossil fuels. And when that happens, the permanent fund dividend check will get smaller and smaller. And then at some point, we won't have it. And then there's going to be a big unemployment problem here in Alaska because a lot of people go up and work in the oil fields at the north part of the state. I don't, I never have, but I could if I wanted to. I know people who do, and whatever it is, whatever kind of side jobs I do, I get some of that money too. So it's going to be, so oil goes away. It's going to be a job loss, and also tourism. We make a lot of money off tourists. People kind
I
of
bet.
we absolutely depend on the tourist, and so as the jobs start to get automated away, they're not going to have any money to come up here and visit Alaska.
That's true. So it's a good thing that a state like Alaska's, like I guess out of all the states, I guess Alaska is pretty deserving of the oil check.
Yep.
And we do have a question here from Zishan Ali, who says, "Do people in Alaska like the dividends or the permanent funds?"
Do we like for the what now? Do we like the permanent dividend?
Do
Well,
you do you do y'all like the 1,000 a year?
yeah, we love it, and it's not just $1,000. It changes from year to year. But let me tell you something: people in Alaska love the permanent fund dividend check. They love it. It's part of our culture. It's a part of what makes it great to be an Alaskan. Um, it makes everybody love the state. I mean, it's a beautiful state, anyways.
Right.
We love it. We depend on it. So the checks are cut. Um, I still get mine in the mail just because it's the way I've been doing it, and I honestly like to hold it. Right. I've already cashed this with like I cashed it on my phone, and
Oh
but
wow,
I
you can
just
do it all on your
programmed
phone.
my bank app, and so now I've got it right here. Just to hold it, it's what it represents. It's the future.
Yeah,
So we're gonna have one like this for the freedom dividend.
and you're saying you're saying that every American
Yeah,
should be able to
of course.
feel, should get that check and feel
Yeah,
that they are a part of this country.
right. Just like so, when we get the freedom or the permanent fund dividend check, it comes out in the fall. I feel like it makes Alaskans appreciate the state even more. It makes Alaskans feel like our state cares about us. And it's Alaska is actually a hard place to live. It's
You can
super cold in the
imagine.
winter. It takes a lot of money to heat your cabin or your house where you live. A lot of times there's no jobs. Um, there's plenty of people I know who live out in the woods and they don't they don't have very much money. They don't have very much, they're mountain people, and so
Right.
they need that check. They catch salmon, they shoot moose, like they do that, and then when they get that check, they'll come in and get their four-wheeler fixed. Um, so it comes out. It's really beneficial when it comes out. It comes out in the fall, and so that's when it's time to fill up your heating fuel tank. So the vast majority of Alaskans, they use diesel heating fuel to
Mm-hmm.
their cabins, and so you just fill it up. So you get the dividend check, and then you just turn it into fuel, and so that way you don't have to worry about freezing through the winter.
Right.
Or
And
yeah,
oh, did you have more to say?
I was just going to add, kids get it too, and like so before the show, before we started, me and Lewis were talking about
Mm-hmm.
the dividends and how it helps financial literacy. So my son has been getting it for 6 years. And so we save his, like, we're fortunate enough to be able to save his. And it's in like a mutual fund, kind of like college fund saving thing. And so he knows how much he has. He knows. He's like, well, I've got this many thousands of dollars. And I'm like, yeah, you do. It's pretty
Here you
cool.
go.
And so it may not sound like full on financial literacy, but most kids probably don't know what it feels like to actually have money and to know that they're going to have money when he's going to get that money. Like when he turns 18, he'll be an adult and it's his. We saved it
Yeah.
until then, and
Potentially 18 grand
or more. It's going to
or
be more
more.
than that.
Yeah.
It fluctuates, but yeah, exactly, roughly. So think of it. That gives him a sense of security because it's not like his parents are rich, and his parents, me, he's going to see what's going to happen. Oh, damn. I'm sorry,
Back. It's
somebody.
all good.
Um, he's going to see what's going to happen when this fourth industrial revolution comes along.
Yeah.
And he's got like a little nest egg for that. And so that's why we have to elect Andrew Yang. He has to be the nominee because we're going to need this money to survive. And it's the right thing to do. Like I don't think people understand the numbers, like on these like giant corporations that are making all this money on data. I don't think people understand the numbers. If we set up that value added tax and we start getting money from those transactions,
Yep. Start getting
the
our
money,
data checks.
the money's there. And guess what? Those corporations are going to keep on ticking. They're going to keep on going. They're not going to stop. It's just going to, you set it up and then it's set. And we need it. I'm going to Yang Week. Lewis is going to Yang Week. What
It's
are
gonna
you
be
doing?
great.
Like out there,
Yeah.
YouTube. What are you going to do
Even
to
if
make
you can't,
reality?
even if you can't make it to Yang Week, we should all do a huge effort that week to canvass in our own local areas and towns and communities, even if we
Yeah,
can't all make it to Yang Week in Iowa.
right. And
So yeah,
and also donate to the campaign. Donate to people like me and Lewis.
right.
Because I honestly, thank you to all the people. I'm the real Pfeiffer. I'm a cowboy Yang on Twitter. That's my picture, and I just kind of hopped on Twitter and really started using it a lot for because of Yang. And so I grabbed that picture from when MSNBC called him John Yang because it's like John Wayne picture, and so that's my avatar. So for all the people who might listen, who are listening now or are going to listen to this later, who've donated, thank you so much. Some people have been very generous, and
Yeah, the power of the
every
Yang
that
Gang.
money is making it possible for me to go down there and talk to people. And I can say, I'm from Alaska. It was important enough for me and my son to go down here and actually let people know how much we need a president like Andrew Yang. And I'm going to bring my check and be like, this could be
Yeah,
you.
just knock on every door, just put that check in
And
front of their faces.
and so we'll get back to UBI. I want to talk about it some more, but on Yang Week, um, I'm in contact with those people. We've recently been talking, and I've got a packet in email, kind of like showing how it's organized. And there's some very impressive looking people in charge of this whole Yang
Yep.
Week thing. And you probably got the same thing. And I'm excited.
I believe I did. Yeah.
Well organized. I see stuff like that. And I'm like, we can do this. We can do this.
Yeah, Yang Week were keeping us in the dark for a bit. They were a bit radio silent, but yeah, they released such a
Yep.
massive
Yep.
email of
Mm-hmm.
what exactly is going to go down during that 1 week of canvassing really hard in Iowa
Yep.
for Andrew Yang. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. So okay, the checks are cut for the permanent fund dividend check, the Alaska oil check. This baby right here comes out in the fall, right? So
Right.
around that time, a little bit before and after, as soon as it hits, there's sales all over the state of Alaska. You can get a 4-wheeler for super cheap. You can get TVs for super cheap. There's sales all over the places. Prices go down because they know that everybody's got this money. Not only like adults have their permanent fund dividend check, but they also have their kids. So they're like, oh, I have 2 kids. I have mine. I have my significant others. We're going to pull this together, and we're going to go buy a new car. Because we live in Alaska, and you got to have a new car. You got to have new tires. I mean, it's a dangerous place to drive. You got to have
I can imagine.
a set of wheels. And so there's permanent dividend sales. So sales go down.
It's like an Alaskan Black Friday.
It's like an Alaskan Black Friday. And Lewis, here's another thing. You can donate. They have it set up to where you could easily donate portions of your permanent dividend fund check to 501c3s. It's called Pick, Click, Give. And so you could even pull it up if you want to. It's somewhere on there, but I've never done it. I keep the money.
What is it exactly?
So you go up. You can pick like one of my local nonprofits. It's an arts council. I could donate to them. So if you just Google Pick, Click, Give Alaska, maybe.
I could, yeah. Pick, click,
So, but like,
give.
think of it like all these people, like, like they have a big deal. It's like, oh, why should rich people get it? I'm like, well, it depoliticizes it. But if the rich people are rich, they can take this extra money and donate it to organizations of their choosing. Foundation for Autism, Alzheimer's research, or whatever, Cancer Foundation. They can do all of that, or like Humane Society. So I'm going to Google it too.
Yeah, so we have it here just so the chat everyone can see it. I have it on screen here. It's called Pick, Click, Give. It seems like people receiving their yearly oil check in the mail, they can offer to give it to different causes that they care about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool.
So
Very cool.
You listen to NPR. You listen to local radio. And,
I do not listen to NPR.
You always hear it. Like in Alaska Public Radio, they say pick, click, give. Make sure to do pick, click, give, and so they advertise it, and this really helps. There's lots of nonprofits in Alaska that need the money,
right.
and they provide great services to people. One of them is Hope Community Resources, You can pick them, and they help people with disabilities, um, and they could definitely use that money. So yeah, it's definitely. And oh yeah, by the way, I've never heard. I actually rent. I've never heard of anybody being like, "Wow, we got to raise it. We got to raise that rent." I've never heard that.
I mean,
But
imagine rent being raised. Like I don't. I mean, I'm sure there's well thought out arguments for rent being raised, but honestly, I just don't see it happening. Like if landlords, I don't see them doing that.
no,
At least being able to legally get away with it.
right. There's that, and there's also the thing of like, it makes us more empowered. It makes us more empowered. Like so, everybody's getting $1,000 extra a month. So I could be like, "Hey, landlord, you need to fix this one thing in my house that's really annoying. Like my shower sucks real bad. You fix it." And if they say no, you could be like, "I'm going to go somewhere else because I've got the money and and I don't have to live
There you
like this."
go.
And then
You have
the landlord's
bargaining power.
like, whoa, we're gonna fix that shower."
There you go.
That's the way it's
Um,
going.
we do have two questions from Z Sean Alley. First one, I believe it's for us or me. Andrew Yang just released his Medicare for All plan. Have you seen it? I was able to skim through it earlier today before I had to head down to college for some classes. This is my last week of college, thank God, but
Congratulations.
also a pretty tough week. For the semester, I do have college next semester, but yeah, I was able to skim through it, and it looks interesting. I will make a full detailed video about it either later tonight or tomorrow morning. And second question is for you, Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Does your Alaskan funds dividend get taxed at all?
Yes, it does.
What's the tax?
Um,
If you know it offhand.
I don't really know it off the top of my hand. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, you do. It is you file it yourself and you report it. So yeah, it is taxable. Um, so that's the way it is.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
Do you oh, is the amount you get like on that check, is that pre-tax or after
No,
tax?
you get it the full check, and then it's up to you to like report it.
Right. Okay.
The way it works, it's not taken out.
That's cool.
Right. And we know that the freedom dividend, when it comes, is non-taxable. It's not taxed. Right? Everybody knows that, but just thought I'd add that.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
So we have a question here
Yep.
that we ended up missing from Helena Lou, and they excuse me. They ask, many people are against the freedom dividends because they've said that a lot of people will spend the money the wrong way. How can we explain that to them? Like how can we argue against people saying that, why give 1,000 a month? People are just going to spend it in irresponsible ways. Like, how have you seen people in your community spend their 1,000 monthly check irresponsibly of any kind, or are they spending it on their kids, car repairs, gas,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, refueling for their cabins? Have you seen more of one or the other? Or what's your take on it?
Um, I think that if there was a person who was going to use a dividend check from oil or from technology or whatever, and I think that if they were going to spend that money irresponsibly when they got it, then they're going to spend all of their money. They're going to do that regardless of whether they're getting the check or not. So,
Right.
but um, you know, most people, including myself, like, is it irresponsible to fill up my heating tank so my pipes won't freeze in the winter? No, that's responsible. And or what about buying a brand new set of all-weather tires so you don't slide off the highway? That's not irresponsible. So that's what I use with my check. All my son's money goes straight into the savings account, the mutual fund thing for college or whatever he wants to use it for when he turns 18. I mean, like, there's no evidence for that. I have not seen any kind of evidence that that happens, but people are going to do what they want.
Yeah,
So
ultimately that's true, but it seems like, especially in a place like Alaska, people would rather spend the money responsibly than irresponsibly.
a lot of it comes down to necessity. Like they're going to have to, like, substance abuse and alcoholism is a big problem in Alaska. Um, but this is a problem, if you go and take away their permanent dividend check, it's not going to help anything. It's going to make their problems worse. You know, it's not going to help. I
Exactly.
mean, and for this question, it's a great question, but you can always defer to all the studies that have been done on UBI, like about the people who end up working less, or mothers who just had a baby, or kids trying to study in school, right? So
Yep.
it's,
Exactly.
I would say observationally, I haven't looked in like on real statistics on that, but I don't see that happening here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's funny. It seems like a lot of people, not saying that the person who asked the question was, but it seems like a lot of people, when they say that, oh, I would spend the money responsibly, but I don't know about the other people. You ask those other people, and then they themselves say they would spend it responsibly, and then
here's the
they're
thing.
like, "What are you gonna say?"
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but here's the thing: when the freedom dividend, when it goes into effect, we're going to be getting that money, and and we're the one who generated that money. Because have you ever thought of something in your mind and then it shows up on Facebook? You've never even
Yep.
clicked it in there. The
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and the Google, it knows Lewis better than Lewis knows Lewis. It knows you better than
Scary.
yourself. And they're
Yeah.
making billions of dollars or trillions of dollars off this money. So it's your money, and you can do whatever you want with it.
Exactly. It's
And
that
so,
feeling of freedom.
yeah, and so everybody's getting the money. And so if there were people who were going to spend this money irresponsibly on booze or drugs or whatever, then at least those people with the substance abuse problem would be living in an economy that's thriving, that has a freedom dividend that they could pick, click, give to a foundation that helps people who were suffering from substance abuse. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
even if you did have that problem, you're living in a human-centered economy.
Yeah.
Humanity first.
An
You're going to
economy that wants
do
to help you.
that wants to help you, and so that's going to be an incentive for you to get better. Because I don't really believe that people want to live that way. I think that it's a symptom. It's a disease. Substance abuse is a disease.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a leader that's bringing up these issues, like the goal, he says it over and over again, like freedom from substance abuse, freedom from substance abuse. I hear that, and I'm like, Dad, you know what? I'm not going to have a beer. Not that I have a drinking problem, but like whatever. I get off work, I'm like, I'm going to be freedom. I'm going to have freedom from substance abuse. It's just that whole concept can change like people, I think.
Exactly. I agree.
Yep.
And hey, if you mess up one month,
Mm-hmm.
there's always the next month. There's always that security of a steady income.
Right. He brings that up. And so let's talk about humanity first. So, say you get your freedom dividend and you just, whatever, you blow it on horrible things and nothing good comes out of it. Well, guess what? We've all made mistakes. We've all done stupid things. So, next month, when you get your check, you could be like, I'm checking myself into like a substance abuse clinic because, like, I'm going to take off work. I've got this freedom dividend. I'm going to take care of myself. But like, if you don't have that, it's harder to start over. And like, we're all human, and it's not free money. It's
In in
money
in,
that they're
in many
making off
ways,
our backs. They're making that money off our backs.
that's true. And as Andrew Yang says, in many ways, it's everything but the money.
Yep.
And I'm
It's
sure, as someone who's receiving the Alaska check or oil check, I'm sure you can definitely resonate with that statement.
it's true. You get it, and it's like it's a source of pride for Alaskans, I would say.
That's good.
Yeah, and like we make it happen. So if you don't work at the oil fields at the north part of the state. Your buddy does. Maybe you took care of his dog while he was gone.
Yeah. What's great is
Things
that
like that. It's all about perspective. Like,
yeah. What's great is that even if you don't have if you have a rough month in terms of not the most ideal spending habits, at the very least it is going back into the economy, and it's of course indirectly going on to helps other people within the economy, perhaps funding someone's future freedom dividend check.
yeah. And the other thing with it is like, I know tons of people, especially in Alaska and everywhere, like in Low 48 too, who could benefit from SNAP or some sort of like assistance,
Government
but they've
assistance program.
never thought of doing it because it's just not in their wheelhouse. They don't really think of it. They don't think of themselves as like needy. They just think of themselves as like, no, I'll be fine, man. I got this next check coming in, or I'm going to like pick up some Uber shifts. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. They actually could be benefiting from SNAP or these other things, but they don't do it. So the freedom dividend comes in and fills that gap.
There you go. And the fact that everyone's getting it destigmatizes
Yeah.
those thoughts in the first place of, oh, I don't need handouts, or oh, I don't need help, because
Yeah.
everyone else is getting it, and it just becomes part of what makes you an American citizen.
Yeah. And
getting the check.
I think it's important to have some sort of national pride because it makes you feel good, and it's going to make you be a better citizen. Like, I'm from the United States of America, and I get a freedom dividend check. This month, I'm going to go out and I'm going to like pick up trash. I'm going to go like adopt a dog who's been abused and use this money to help care that dog, or like, I'm going to spend it on my kids. I'm going to make myself more available as a parent, and I'm going to actually work to help this country, like in real meaningful ways, not just the country, but all of us.
It's good. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Andrew Yang, that's the message that Andrew Yang wants to bring home to every American. Just that feeling of freedom, that feeling, being proud to be an American again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just for a second, I'd have to say that like this election, the way to go is going to be to vote for Yang in the primaries and then vote blue in the generals, because like it's our shot to do something real. And I have to say that there's a major disconnect between the DNC and regular people and or Democrats, whoever they are. When the person doing best in the polls, what is that? I guess Biden.
Yeah. According to Real Clear Politics, he's about 10 points above the next closest person.
He wants to throw you in jail if you smoke weed federally. That's what he wants to do. And so he's the best guy so far. It's ridiculous. There's a major
there's a disconnect between what the polls say and what the actual general consensus is. That's in my opinion.
It's gotta be. I mean, like, nobody answers a telephone call from a number they don't know. And like, even if you do answer it and you hear somebody asking you questions, you're just going to automatically hang up. I mean, if I get one, I'm going to take that poll, but not everybody's like us.
Exactly.
So
I mean, think of how many people weren't even involved in politics before. They wouldn't be polled for Democratic preference polls. People who are moderates, people who not just new people, like young people who weren't involved in politics their whole life, but suddenly are because of Andrew Yang, and of course Republicans who are going to be voting in the primaries just for Yang, or in Democratic primaries just for Yang. Those people are unaccounted for.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, they're polling Democrats.
Mm-hmm. And not just Democrats, but Democrats with history of voting
Yeah,
records. So that's automatically just singles out a lot of people.
yeah. Okay, so um, during the last election, during the Republican primaries, I've always been kind of active in politics. I've never on this level, never ever on have I cared this much.
Same here.
And the reason is I care, but going out of state, making actual donations to a candidate, doing a YouTube live stream, I've never done this. But never have I been moved so much by a politician. I have never thought it was so important as it is now. Like, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for my son. That's the truth of it. Like, I'm just like Andrew Yang. I am not going to it's not going to be okay for him, for my son, unless we get something going.
Exactly.
So back in the last primaries, I was watching, like, I'd kind of given up a little bit. Like, I was like, oh God, Hillary, like, I'm Democrat and I knew that Trump shouldn't win, but I predicted that Trump was going to win early on because when I would watch his YouTube videos, he was the only one that was interesting to watch. And that was my theory. I was like, this guy, he's got chance. He's engaging the crowd. The crowd loves him. He's dominating the headlines. He's the only one that when you listen to, which I never, ever agreed with him. Like, when you listen to him, it's actually entertaining. And I would be laughing my ass off and I'd be watching. I'd tune in and watch almost all of them for a little while until I realized it was going to be him. And then I was just like, I couldn't take it anymore. And I went and told people, and listen, Trump's going to take this as, like, it's because he's just a better candidate. Like, he's bad, but, like, people want to watch him because he's entertaining. So that was my whole theory on it and everything. And I also said people are going to make a vote of no confidence. They want an outsider. They're done with politics. Yeah. Everybody was like, no. They hated hearing it. It stressed them out. Like, people I work with, they didn't want to hear it. I was like, hey, I don't want him to win, and I'm going to vote blue, but I'm just predicting what's going to happen. I don't like it.
And
even though
looks like you were right
off about it all the time and was always making jokes about Trump and what, I was like, watch this one right here, So similarly in this election, we've got Andrew Yang. So if you tune into an Andrew Yang speech, it's actually entertaining. He's actually engaging the crowd. We've got chants, we've got PowerPoint, but they're positive chants.
And it feels like a concert sometimes.
Yeah. And people freak out about Yang, just like they freaked out about Trump. We've got the hats. And so I was like, the last election, I was like, Trump's got this, and that's why he's going to win. Now we've got what we got, the Yang Gang, and that's why we're going to win. Because I'm telling you, that's what's going to win. And I think a lot of people are starting to agree with me that he's our best shot at winning. Like, we will lose. We're going to have Trump once again if we don't get Yang. That's my prediction.
Yeah, we'll see if that prediction comes true, if you will be 2 for 2 if Yang ends up not being a nominee. But we do have a good just under 50 days, I want to say, until those citizens of Iowa do cast their vote in the Iowa caucus. That would be interesting, and I can't believe after months and months of knowing Yang and following the campaign, it's really going to kick off in just a couple weeks from now. Just like a month and a half, pretty much. Things are about to start going crazy really fast.
Yeah, and people are still finding out about Yang. They're still finding out about it.
They still are.
And a lot of people don't understand, especially Democrats for some reason. They don't understand the freedom dividend. They don't understand it completely. I don't really know that for sure, but that's what it seems like just from talking.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about it.
They don't completely understand it. So once they start to understand it, that's what's going to make the difference. And then we'll go back to what everybody talks about, like how What is John Kerry, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, all these people, how they were doing in December and how they spiked. I think they were like, what, 2% or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just
And
came.
and the chat can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but historically, the front runners of a race don't always end up on top or don't always end up winning the primaries.
Yeah. I mean, I've read that, and yeah, they talk about that online. Yep.
Yeah. So we do have this message by Drone Journey. He says, or they say, before Trump, we got to conquering the party. Or before Trump, we do have to conquer the Democratic Party. That's one thing we're gonna work on. When
Yep.
me, Pfeiffer, Tully, you know Tully, right? Shaving with Tully. We are gonna be out there. We're gonna be knocking on doors, canvassing, talking about Andrew Yang
Yep.
directly to the people of Iowa. It's gonna be great. And
I'm probably
yeah,
going to shave. I'm going to get a haircut. I'm
yeah,
going to get some clothes. I want to look
yeah.
good.
Same here. I might just buy one more Yang shirt. I think I have two right now. One more Yang shirt before I head out to Iowa. I'm actually buying my plane ticket today.
Nice.
Yeah, thankfully I got the hotel booked. Made sure to take care of that before anything else. But I was just waiting on
Right.
some funds to come in before
Okay.
getting the plane
Cool, man.
ticket.
Yeah.
And yeah, Drone Journey says most people think it's welfare. Um, I, I don't think the freedom dividends could it one day replace welfare? Maybe far off into the future, but it's definitely not welfare. It's a whole other entity
We're
that
shareholders.
yeah, we're shareholders of this great
Just
nation.
I'm a shareholder. I'm a shareholder in my state. See?
He's a shareholder of Alaska. There's his
Yeah.
Alaskan fund check right there.
And we need people in Alaska. It's important for people to stay here to keep the economy going. I mean, like
Oil workers.
yeah, or like whoever. It's actually an incentive to keep people in the state, which makes perfect sense. I mean, like, yeah, sure, yeah, I'll live here. It's beautiful, and I get this check. It's actually a little something that helps. It's like I'm one more person that can go and substitute at the elementary school. I used to do that job. There's
There
not
you
very
go.
many in the area who do that job, and the kids love it. They're like, oh yeah, you know. And
Yeah.
so, or like, I might be a dentist, I might be a doctor. Like the show Northern Exposure a long time ago about Alaska. That main character was a dentist, and he went to Alaska to go be a dentist for 4 years so he could pay off his student loans, his medical bills. It's just, we need people here. And so, like,
Exactly.
we need people in the United States. It's just like, I like his immigration policy where he's like, welcome immigrants. You come here to go to school, you're brilliant, and then you can't stay here and work. You got to go somewhere else. And so why are we exporting that value?
Exactly.
So,
Like we like people need um incentives are always nice. That's definitely true.
yeah, that's true. And then there's the other thing about, like, so I guess if you go to prison, you don't get the freedom dividend. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, you're broke. What are you going to do? You don't have any money. What are you going to do? Break into somebody's house and stuff and go hawk it in the pawn shop or whatever and get your money.
Mm-hmm.
But if you got that check coming in, we're better than that.
It gives you that's incentive right there to continue to be a good human being and not break any laws.
Right. Because we've got
Potentially,
human-centered economy to where it's just like, we've got this oil check. It could be like in other states where there's other states that have oil production and they don't get it. I mean, it actually comes in handy for us. Like I said, it's expensive to heat your house. You'll freeze to death,
yeah.
And
It's
so,
very important.
but like, no, we're gonna share a little bit of the profits to help people live in this harsh state. It helps a lot, and people rely on it. And if
Yeah.
they just went and said screw it, take it away, people would be really pissed off. And so,
There'd be chaos because Alaskans are so used to getting that yearly check.
and yeah, and that's kind of what's been happening here, because it it's like I said, it's a good problem. We have the oil UBI set up here. Maybe it hasn't been going perfectly, but that's not the UBI's fault. It's not the concept's fault. It's the management. So let's get Andrew Yang in office, and then we get the freedom dividend. 20 years down the road, we've been getting this $1,000 a month inflation adjusted check every year. 20 years down the road, we get some bozo in the office, and he screws up the freedom dividend. Well, we'll fix it. We'll
Well, there
fix it.
was actually
It's
talk
a
of
good problem.
making it something about passing an amendment to potentially stop future presidents or future people elected in office from
Yeah,
removing the freedom dividend. That would be interesting.
that's what we'll have. That's what we'll have. Because
Yeah.
once we, that's all I'm saying is once we get it, they ain't taking it away.
Yeah.
Because people get supremely pissed off, just like Alaskans do. We got so pissed off that we were like, screw it. We don't even need a dentist. They like the freedom dividend more than their teeth. That's true.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Once people get that first check in the
yeah,
mail, they have it
right.
in their hands,
Mm-hmm.
they're never going to want it gone.
No.
Like, good luck repealing that or passing it in the
Yeah.
Senate or House of Representatives or anywhere.
Have you heard of anybody say like, well, okay, so yeah, Andrew Yang wins, but how is he going to get this freedom dividend passed? You ever heard that one before? And
I've heard it.
I've heard Yang, but like, are you kidding me? If he wins and defeats Trump, and like he's saving the world, and he ran on the freedom dividend,
Yeah, like if
or
he
going
wins,
if he if someone's going to try to stop that from going through, they're going to get a lot of pushback. Imagine,
a huge amount of pushback.
you'd be like, you're denying your community this X amount of dollars. It's crazy.
For some communities, potentially hundreds of billions of dollars,
Yeah,
tens of billions. Like, I would not want to be the politician that's in the way of Andrew Yang fulfilling his UBI promise and tens and hundreds of millions of U.S. citizens. Because if Andrew Yang wins, he'll have won like on his UBI proposal. Everyone who knows Andrew Yang knows as well that he's trying to give $1,000 a month to everyone.
yep,
And everyone, and let's say Yang goes crazy in Iowa, like he places top 3, shocks the media, shocks the establishment. People are going to look up Andrew Yang, and thanks to how Andrew Yang has marketed himself, people will say, oh, he wants to give $1,000 to everyone every single month. Let's go vote for him. Like, I love how Andrew Yang has
yeah,
like shaped his image to how him and the universal basic income, aka the freedom dividend, aka the 1,000 a month, is intertwined,
yeah.
and it's great.
He's got a strong message. He's very likable. I think likability is very important.
Yeah, he's
It's very important. He seems real. People are ready for somebody like that who actually seems real. Like you could
yeah.
be like, wow. I mean, he's going to be the best president ever. I mean,
He would be likened to the likes of Theodore Roosevelt, or is it FDR? I sometimes get them confused. One of them was.
FDR was the New Deal, or yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it will.
He could be a new FDR.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, we got to go for it. We got to go for it. And the freedom dividend or the RUBI oil check is very popular with hardcore Republicans. I mean, Trump supporters, Alaskans, my neighbor, he gets this check. He likes it. I don't know if he's Yang yet, but I don't think he's going to go for Yang. I told him about it. But he likes his freedom dividend or permanent fund dividend check, so he knows about it.
if I have a feeling for your friend, if Yang becomes the Democratic nominee and it's Trump or a guy that wants to give him 12,000 a year on top of his yearly oil check, I
Yeah.
feel like we know who we might start looking into.
Here's something interesting. In Alaska, so we had the election for a governor, Dunleavy. I think everybody knows Dunleavy was just a bad deal because of all the funding cuts, but he won. All he did was like, vote for me, you're going to get $6,000. Did it happen? No. That's a different story, but like people will vote for the money. They're going to vote for that money. And so it's even better that he's got a compelling reason on why we're going to get it. It makes sense. It's needed with the fourth industrial revolution. I mean, and here's the other thing, like if you're a Democrat and you want to get all the things that Democrats want, you're going to get it with Yang, but you're going to get support of conservatives, some Trump supporters. You're going to get Christians. You're going to get pro-life people who are going to vote for a candidate who's for pro-choice. Imagine that. Like for years, it's been like, oh, you got to vote Republican if you're pro-life. Now, pro-life people are like, wait a second, I'm going to vote for Yang because people will be less likely to get an abortion because they have that $1,000 a month.
Yeah,
There's actually set up to where we're getting the money. And so on Twitter, I see these people. The old way is like, we're welcoming everybody. You know, we're going to do this together. Like, no matter how far left you are, how far right you are, we've got humanity first.
Exactly.
And so that's what we're rallying behind in the freedom dividend, human-centered economy. That's how we're going to do it.
I agree. Yeah. So I'm just making sure we didn't miss anything in the comments.
Okay.
Rocket Racer says immigrants built this country. 100% true.
Yep.
Like I was talking to Tully yesterday, and I think he put it best. We've had immigrants in the country since the Mayflower days.
Yeah.
If you think about it, yeah. And Stars and Moon brings up something interesting. Apparently, Mitt Romney and what is it, Michael Bennett, something like that, are already wanting their version of UBI, but a form of child UBI. Interesting. I'll have to look into it. Have you heard of it?
No, I have not seen that.
I guess they introduced a recent bill. That's very interesting.
Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of like the time has come for this idea.
Yeah. Perhaps Yang. Are they Yang Gang? It's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
And not to mention Mitt Romney's a Republican and Bennett's a Democrat, so I guess they're co-sponsoring whatever this is, a bill. I guess they've introduced of a child UBI. Very interesting, for sure. I might have to cover that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Rocket Racer says UBI will make people happier and healthier than any other plan. And would you tend to agree with your own life, just from getting not 1,000 a month, but or around 1,000 a year?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, most definitely. I mean, it comes in handy. Like, I work seasonally, and where I live, there's not that many jobs. I'm not going to go work on the oil fields because, you know, I'm a parent and I'm just not going to do that. So it helps. Like I said, like, you go into the winter, you've got all your money saved up to survive through the winter. Do I work in the winter? Yes. Do I have as many hours or make as much money? No. Do I have my UBI check from oil? Yes. So I spend it, and I usually spend it like this year. I spent it on tires and heating fuel. I needed new tires. And like I said, my son's, his check, it goes into like a mutual fund type kind of college savings thing that's accumulating for him. And he knows about it. and it's got to feel good. He's kind of got a concept of what 10 grand is, or however much he has, something like that.
And won't he be happy? Like, wouldn't your son be happy he if he finds out he's getting a grand yearly, and then on his 18th birthday
Yeah,
he starts getting
yeah.
that monthly thousands? Like, he would be like finding that out. He would be ecstatic.
Oh, he knows about Andrew Yang, and
Oh,
he knows what it
you
means.
made sure of that.
He knows. Yep, that's been a lot. I'm get a lot of. He's here, like, yeah, he sees the YouTube videos, and I told him, like, I tell him things, like, I just, you know, Andrew Yang, he's going to give us. I explained to him, it's like we're going to take more vacations. It's important for Alaskans to take vacations. I mean, it's a harsh place to be. I mean, the sun doesn't
I
even
bet.
like we're like about 5 days away from the winter solstice, so the sun barely comes up right now. I'm in the central part of the state, but I mean, I'm used to it. But you get your freedom dividend, and be like, let's just cruise to Hawaii for a little bit, and we'll come back. That's going to make us feel better. It's going to make us healthier. It's going to make us happier. We're going to do better at school and work when we come back. And he knows. In fact, like, I think it was on the weekend, weeks ago or months ago, like, he woke up and came downstairs. He's like, I had a dream that this when Andrew Yang was still relatively new to me and to him. Now it's like,
Yeah.
that's all he hears about now. He was like, yeah, I had a dream that guy that you like became president, and he came over to our cabin and he gave us the money. And I was like, that's
Incredible.
amazing. I posted that story on Twitter. It was very popular. A little. So,
That's great.
and he knows that. I told him, I was like, finally he was like, is Trump a good guy or a bad guy? And I was like, he's a bad guy. I had to tell him. I was just like, but I explained it to him the best I could. And when I first showed him a video of Andrew Yang, it was amazing. He lit up. He was like, that guy? He looks pretty nice. Because
How old is your son?
In his world, he doesn't know what it's like to have a president and a leader that's not trying to just do the wrong thing. And that's important too.
Yeah. His like his childhood years are going to be really important.
Yeah.
And wouldn't we want that to be, not under Trump?
Right. Yeah. And like everybody's going to benefit so much from the freedom dividend, no matter who you are. Like, I mean, just imagine if you're a parent and like you've got this money, you can spend it on your kids. Like, it's expensive and it's going to help. Like, a lot of people, I get to go on vacations. I'm not wealthy or anywhere close to that. I'm regular dude, like check to check, basically. I'm very resourceful, but
That's good.
the thing is like a lot of people don't have it as good. A lot of kids grow up without being able to go on vacation. A lot of kids grow up with like, especially around here, like, oh, my parents, like, we don't do that. I was like, have you seen the new Star Wars? Like, because like I do volunteer at this one thing where we go and I help the kids, and I was just kind of like, chatting it up. I was like, have you seen the new Star Wars? It's like, oh, we don't spend money on Star Wars. I was like, oh, but she was really into Star Wars. It's just the kids need to have an opportunity to live a little bit of the good life. It's important. I mean,
Yeah,
all of us do.
I agree.
Yeah.
We all do. I mean, in fact, I believe the United States is one of the countries on the bottom of the list of employees, workers that take vacation days. They have some of the least out of all the countries, and it's terrible because we all deserve to, lighten up and live
Yeah.
life. But instead, we're just working 40+ hours a week.
Like, so we have the freedom dividend, and it's going to open up us intellectually as a country. Like, we're going to be able to, you get that boot off the neck, like Yang says, and It's going to help you be more creative.
It'll create jobs automatically. It'll create entrepreneurs that didn't even know they could be entrepreneurs because they were
Yep.
under harsher circumstances before the freedom dividends.
And they're going to spend that money at those businesses that you create. It's like you could create a whole business based on marketing to people who are getting the freedom dividend. You could like, okay, so when did the checks get cut? That's when I'm going to set up shop. It's just going to take care of itself. It's like, it's going to be the most amazing thing. Like I said, as soon as I found out about it, I knew this guy can win. It's a great idea. There's been struggles along the way. I mean, of course, the media and all that.
There has been, unfortunately, but I feel like those days are hopefully dying down in terms of so much. The Yang media blackout. I'm sure everyone watching has heard of it.
Yeah,
It's been a wild ride, but we're mid-December, heading into January soon.
And also, I have to say, I'm probably going to have to wrap it up soon, but I'd have to say
That's fine.
that what you're doing and the others on YouTube that we all know, you're making a positive influence. You're spreading the word, you're teaching people about Yang, but also you're kind of defeating this media, which has like not the best intentions. They want to fool you. And like, we don't have to rely on them to get the information. We can go on the internet, we can go on Twitter and learn things. Like everybody, all of us on Twitter, we complain about MSNBC and everything, but I don't watch it. I just learn about how they're screwing up on Twitter. So it's like, and my mom does not watch MSNBC anymore. She used to love it, but she doesn't watch it anymore because she's Yang Gang now.
That's good.
She knows what she's going to be able to. It's going to help her trips up here to see her grandson and me. She comes up here. She's going to use that money to help buy plane tickets. And like she always likes to take us somewhere. When we go down to see her, she always takes us to places. She wants to spend money. Like she just a little bit. Like she's older and she's a retired school teacher. So
right,
one of the people who could benefit, like the teachers,
caregivers, teachers just deserve more pay. Every teacher should get at least.
My God.
Yeah, more because they are the ones teaching.
Yeah.
Unless the kids are homeschooled, of course, they are educating the people who change the world of tomorrow.
Yeah, and those people even if you don't have kids, you really want it's not just about your kids, it's about the people who are going to be in your society that are going to either improve your life or make it worse, depending on what they're going to do. So you might as well invest where it counts, the kids in school.
Exactly. So you did mention you have to wrap it up soon. So I was thinking, how about we put a hard limit of about 2:30 your time? I believe it is.
Yeah, cool.
2:23 right now.
Yeah,
right. Cool. So we have about 5 to 10 minutes left. Everyone, if anyone would like to ask any last couple of questions towards Pfeiffer over here. Again, he is. If you are just tuning in, he is already receiving a dividend in the form of over $1,000 a year, thanks to the Alaska Permanent Funds.
Yep.
So far, this live stream has been amazing. I gotta say, I've learned a lot about how people can really, how lives can be changed, and more important than all, just how much, money can change lives, and how being poor is not really proof that you lack character or anything. It's just it's a lack of resources, a lack of funds.
Yeah, I mean, Alaska is a hard place to live. A lot of us are poor. That doesn't mean we're bad. We're what make Alaska great. You come visit Alaska, you're going to see beautiful scenery, but You're going to be impressed by the people that you meet because they're very nice. They're very welcoming. And our culture is to help other people. And part of that is because it's a harsh environment. If it's 20 below and
Exactly.
you're down the road and there's somebody hitchhiking, you're going to pick them up, depending on where you are. But
Of
there's some rough
course.
parts of town, but like in my town at least, or like, building a cabin. It's just our culture is to take care of each other. And that's what
Exactly.
the oil check does, which
That's
will be
exactly what it does.
tech check. We're going to get the tech check just like this one right here. I'm holding it. Look, see, there it is.
I really do hope we all get it someday. And yeah, it'll be an interesting month and a half to follow, and I'm hoping to spend the majority of my January in Iowa,
That would be great.
or at least a good chunk of it.
I'm going to spend for sure 1 week there. Who knows? Maybe it'll be longer. I don't know. We'll have to see. But for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, so hit up my GoFundMe on my Twitter.
Yeah, for watching,
And
Pfeiffer is still trying to raise funds to go all the way from Alaska to Iowa for a week. Some people like me live close to Iowa, but Pfeiffer over here lives all the way in Alaska.
I'm a good candidate to go to Yang Week because I'm good at talking to people. I actually talk to people for a living. I'm a seasonal park ranger, and so I talk to people all the time. And I believe that Iowans will be impressed that I came all the way from Alaska to spread this message and tell them about how it's already working in Alaska.
There you go.
So yeah,
Yep, Pfeiffer here can just knock on doors, show the check, and that's just about all he has to do.
yeah.
But yeah, and also make sure to follow him on Twitter. He is at _Pfeiffer. And we have some people did actually ask some questions. Mr. Germson asks, any sign of inflation?
No. If you might have missed it, but like I was talking about, when the checks come out, prices go down because the companies know that everybody has some money, and so their sales on things that we need, like four-wheelers, just anything really. Like there's sales at, like, for TVs, there's sales for four-wheelers, snow machines, or snowmobiles is what you guys call them down there. But when the checks come out, it's a good time to buy stuff like
There you go.
tires, whatever you need. But the prices actually go down because the companies know that regular people have money, and it's their chance to get a little piece of that. And so they're going to make a break on the price. No inflation.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So, according to Pfeiffer, no sign of inflation as far as he can tell from his perspective over there in Alaska. In fact, actually quite the opposite. Rocket Racer asks, well, too many people with no money is reality. See all the homeless? I think he's asking if you've seen homeless people in Alaska. That would be a horrible thing to be homeless.
It's a very poor state. There are homeless people. A lot of it has to do with substance abuse, just like anywhere else. Anchorage has a fair amount of homeless people. So, I mean, it's just.
They received a check, right?
They have to apply for it. Like you got to go and fill out the form and send it in through the mail or do it online. But
so
if they did that and they could prove that they were in the state, they get it. So that's why it's important to have, like, social workers. So these people come in, it's like, well, I've got frostbite because I'm homeless. I'm like, okay, let's get this person in here. Let's take care of their needs. Let's take care of their fingers or whatever. And then you go see the social worker and say, like, you're homeless. What do you apply? What can you get? Like, you can get assistance here. You can get assistance there. What about the permanent dividend check? It's like, you have to prove that you're a resident. That's tough, but
it can be tough for homeless.
So, like, we're getting the oil dividend check. We still have a lot of work to do. Just
There's
like everyone.
Still plenty of work to do.
Like, we've got lots of problems just like everywhere else. And there's, but the freedom dividend actually helps those people because so if for whatever reason I become extremely wealthy or whatever, and I don't need my dividend check anymore, I can go to Pick, Click, Give that we just checked out earlier, where you can go and donate your oil check to organizations or nonprofits that would actually go to help these people who are on the streets.
And that's a good thing. And
Yep.
hopefully they do something like that nationwide. I would love a click pick give for the entire country if
Yeah,
once
you
Andrew
pick,
Yang's
you
freedom
click,
dividend.
you give. And like, why not? Like,
It's beautiful. That would be a beautiful thing.
even if you're a regular person, you could be like, well, I'm gonna give 10%. I'm gonna move it, forward. You could do that. Everybody could do that. And like I said, we get it set up. It's not like Facebook and Google and everything are going to be hurting. They're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on Googling things. We're going to keep on checking up Facebook. They're going to keep on using our data. And it's going to keep going. It's not going to be the end of the world. They can pay it. They can pay it. The money's there, like Ying says, like the money's there.
Money is there.
Yep.
So we have this question by Chris Baker. This will be the second to last question. From your perspective, did the Alaskan dividend help create more jobs or encourage entrepreneurialism?
I mean, it's got to create more jobs. I mean, I went and bought some tires for mine. And I bought them from like a local company,
Like some kind of mom and pop shop.
Yeah. And like people go and spend their dividend check in where they live. Yeah. It's definitely, I would say definitely, it's helping people, who have, everybody gets it. Like lots of people who have small businesses up here.
It all goes back into the economy.
It all goes back into the economy. Yep.
That's good.
So, like for example, my son, we're saving his. Like if whatever he grows up and decides that he doesn't want to go to college, he's like, I really want to start my own business, and I want to use this money that you saved up for me. I'd be like, that sounds awesome. It's your money. You can do it. I was like, go for it. You can do that. Now he can do that. And like, or like, I don't even know. I might not have the resources to be able to provide that nest egg for him, but I've got that. So that's the future right there.
That is the future.
Yep.
Definitely. And I can't wait for that future. Like, because UBI is inevitable. It's just a matter of will we be getting it earlier than most people expected. And if America passes it, all eyes, like all countries after seeing us as a laughing stock for a while, all eyes are suddenly going to be on us. Wow, America's citizens are all receiving free money. It's going to cause huge ripples across the world. I can really feel it.
That's why there's so many international yin gang.
Yeah.
They're from everywhere. They're from all walks of life. They're from it. We've got a broad coalition, all different kinds of people.
Yep. It's incredible. And I guess final question right here. Will Alaskan, and I did see this once before, I think, but I forgot to ask, will Alaskans get the oil check and the data check, like both at the same time, if Yang becomes president?
Oh, yeah. So we'll still get the oil check because that's like separate from everything else. Like you get it. Like you just have to follow the rules. Like if you leave the state for longer than 90 days, you don't get it. But if you're here for that amount of time, you get it. It's like you just have to apply for it on time and not miss the deadline. It's going to stack. Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Yep.
And I believe that is all our questions. And yeah, it's been about an hour and 20 minutes. So
cool, man.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome, everybody. I've been Detective Lewis. This has been Pfeiffer, our first or third person we've ever interviewed on here. And what better than someone that knows what it would be like to benefit from Andrew Yang's freedom dividends.
There
than
it is.
someone already getting a dividend of their own.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. If you tuned in at any point, I highly appreciate it. I can already tell I'm gonna probably cut some of these in the clips to upload later on my channel, probably with some cheeky titles like "Alaskan Dividend Guy Answers This Question." You're good.
That's great.
I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna make sure people will click on it and will know about this interview. I'll
Great.
make sure of it because you said a lot of great things, and yeah, I will. Maybe even tonight I might cut something up. But yeah,
Cool. All right.
awesome video. I mean,
Yeah.
future video.
Thank you,
Awesome
Lewis.
live stream.
I'm
You're
glad
welcome.
to your show. It's a great show. I watch it. I
Yeah.
watch all your videos. They're great. Keep up the good work, man.
Thank you
And
so much.
we will see you in Iowa.
Yes. Next time you see us, Pfeiffer over here. Well,
Yep.
see me. You'll probably see me later tonight, but you'll see Pfeiffer hopefully and Tully from yesterday. If you watch yesterday's video with shaving with Tully, you'll see him up in Iowa as we knock on doors and canvass as much as we can to spread the good word of Andrew Yang. But yeah, thank you everyone so much for watching. I'm Detective Lewis. This has been Pfeiffer. Make sure to give him a follow on Twitter if you haven't. He is at @the_Pfeiffer. And we'll see y'all later.
All right. Thanks, Lewis. Bye-bye.
Welcome.